Hey guys, welcome back to How to Roll Dice. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be doing a quick little review and walkthrough of this game here, Fairy Tale by Z-Man Games. This is probably one of my all-time favorite simple card games. It only costs about $20 to pick up, it plays for 2 to 5 players, and it takes about 30 minutes to get through a full game. The game is easy to learn, and even the expert cards that you add in once you've played a few games, which brings the total deck size up to 110 cards, are relatively easy to understand and follow. The gameplay is straightforward, and instead of it making the game dull or simple, it actually increases the challenge because you know that your opponents understand the game and understand how to win just as well as you do, and it makes it that much more challenging to do better than them. Getting into the rules, which are relatively straightforward, I'll show you the rule book here. It's literally a double-sided 4-panel pamphlet, and there's also a lot of graphics on there, so it's not even really a full 8 miniature pages. Very simple to learn. The game comes with 110 cards, like I mentioned. Technically, 30 of those are considered expert cards, but I would absolutely recommend that you just throw those in, if only for the fact that you can only play 2 to 4 players with the 80 cards that remain if you do remove them, and you can play 2 to 5 players if you play with all 110 cards. And honestly, the additional cards are pretty straightforward as far as the mechanics go. They're not much more advanced than the 80 cards that they consider beginner level. So you've got your deck here. You're going to shuffle the entire thing together. Going over the cards and sort of just their general layout, let me pop a few out here so that I can show you. You've got 2 general breakdowns, 2 different classifications that you can use on the cards. So right off the bat here, you can see that we've got 4 distinct colors. You've got green, yellow, red, and black. Green is Dragonvale, red is Fairywood, yellow is the Holy Empire, and black is Shadow. Now those don't necessarily have any lore or fluff behind them, it's just sort of the style of the cards. All of these cards have a bit of a fantasy art slash almost Japanese anime style look to them. I don't know if that has anything to do with the creator of the game, who is Satoshi Nakamura, maybe. But so you've got the 4 different factions, and then you've also got 3 different types. You've got characters, which if you look in the top center of the card there, you'll see a little face, a little silhouette. That is character. And then you've got home. That is this little castle symbol at the top center there. And then you've got story. Let me see if I can find a story card right here. If you look at the top center of that card, you will see a small storybook. That is story. And that's just 2 different ways that the cards can be classified. A lot of the mechanics in the game have to do with referencing either the faction or the type of card, or another card specifically by name. The way that the game actually works is that you're going to flip this entire deck over, shuffle it, and you're going to start dealing cards out. Each player is going to get 5 cards. So let's just grab 5 cards off the top here. And obviously you would deal around the table so that everybody gets cards fairly. You're going to deal the cards out face down, and before anybody picks them up, you're going to make sure that you finish the whole deal. So everybody gets 5 cards before anybody looks at their cards. Once you've gotten your 5, the dealer is going to let everybody know, okay, everybody's got cards, go ahead and pick them up. You pick your cards up, and you're basically going to draft. You're going to choose one card that you want to keep, and you're going to put it face down in front of you. As you're playing through the draft, you can look at those face-down cards in front of you at any time to sort of remind yourself of what you've already chosen. I am going to go with this one right here. So let's go over a slightly more detailed breakdown of the card and also show you a different type of card. So looking at this card, you can see that it is a shadow card. You can see that it is a character. The name of the card is the Storyteller. And as far as the point value, which is in the upper left corner there, it is worth 2 times the number of whatever that it references at the bottom of the card. That sort of shard symbol, that's saying 2 times whatever that shard symbol is equal to for this card. And on this card, looking at the bottom, you can see that shard is equal to the number of stories that you have. That's at the end of the entire game, and that's that are face up. Throughout gameplay, there are going to be cards flipping over and flipping back up, and at the end of the game, when you actually tally your points, you're only going to count cards that are face up. So you choose a card that you want to keep from your hand, you put it face down in front of you, you can look at it whenever you need to, but it's meant to be secretive for you, and you're going to pass the remaining 4 cards to the player to your left. Now, as you go through the various rounds of drafting, that direction is going to change. The first draft, which is followed by a play phase, goes left. Then the second draft, which is followed by a play phase, goes right. Then back to the third, back on the third draft, you go back to the left, and on the fourth draft, the final draft, you go right again. So it's left, right, and that makes sure that nobody's getting screwed because the person that goes before them is taking all the cards they want. So you would then pick up the 4 cards that are coming to you from either direction, and you're going to look through them, and you're going to choose the next card that you want to keep. After you play the game a few times, you'll sort of start to recognize cards, or at least you'll start to recognize mechanics. So like this card, where its value is 2 times the number of stories that you have at the end of the game. That's a value based off of a card type. You'll also see that same mechanic, but based off of card faction. You'll also see that same mechanic, but based off of a specific card. Another thing that I should point out here, and this might be a little harder for you to see because of the coloring here, actually, is that a bad example? That's a bad example. Well, we'll look at it anyways. If you look in the very, very upper left corner, and you really might not be able to see this, it says 1 out of 110. That's not just a random card number as in this card's number 1, this card's number 2, this card's number 3. It's letting you know that out of 110 cards, there is only 1 of this card in the entire deck. There are no duplicates of this card. If, however, you look at this card, and again, I realize this is going to be a little hard to see, in the upper left corner, it says 4 out of 110. That means there are 4 duplicates of this card in the entire deck. That's important because some cards are scored as a multiplier of themselves, meaning how many of that card you have in play at the end of the game. I don't think I have one in my hand right now, but they exist. You can take my word for it. So let's take this card right here. This is a 4 out of the deck, so there are 4 duplicates of this card. It's worth 6 points on its own. It is a fairy wood card, which is why it's red, and it is a home card, which is the castle symbol. It's called Fairy Ring. It says you flip 1 fairy wood card. That's not going to happen yet. When you choose it, it's going to go face down in front of you. And then we're going to pass your remaining cards again to whatever direction you're going. Then you get your next 3 cards. Again, assume these are coming from over here. And you take a look at them. And we decide what we want to pull from those. I'm going to pull this one here. Now you've got 2 left. You only pull 3 cards out of the 5 that everybody starts with. These remaining 2, and same for every other player, are going to get discarded face down, and nobody looks at them. That's so that other players don't know what you're discarding, because like I said, they might be looking for specific duplicates or specific cards that pair with a card they've already chosen, and you don't want them to know that they're wasting their time looking for it because they're all in the discard pile. So the discard pile is kept secret, face down. Now, everybody has 3 cards face down in front of them. You're going to go ahead and pick those up, and those are your hand. We've now entered the play phase, or I should say the first play phase. It goes draft, play, draft, play, draft, play, draft, play, total of 4 times, and then you tally up your points and you see who wins. So I've got these 3 cards in hand. I'm going to choose one to put face down in front of me, so is every other player, and then simultaneously, 1, 2, 3, go, everybody flips that card over. Now, the reason that you do it simultaneously is because there are cards in the deck that will cause other player cards, or your own cards, to either flip face down or flip face up. The terminology is flip means face down, unflip means face up. If you don't have a card that is sort of targeted, if you don't have a card in front of you that applies to whatever the flip effect is. So for example, this card says you, meaning the person who played it, flip 1 fairywood card. So if I played this card right now, and then everybody gets their cards out and we go 3, 2, 1, go, and I flip that over, I immediately have to do what it says. It says you, meaning me, flip 1 fairy card. Well, that's my only fairy card, so it has to flip. And now I have a 6-point card face down on the table. That's kind of useless to me. It would be better to save this for later in the game. Ideally, I wouldn't have drafted this. It was obviously a stupid move on my part, but I'm just trying to show you the game. Because no matter when I play this during this turn, and I'm going to have to play it, you have to play all 3 of your cards. No matter when I play it, it's going to be the only fairy card that I have, and it's going to flip face down. So anyways, everybody picks 1 card, they put it in front of them, everybody's ready, you simultaneously flip them over, everybody does what the cards say. Now, there are different effects, and so the effects happen in different order. The effect order is Hunt, which is basically your card is going to target somebody else's card and make it flip face down. Then Unflip, which is cards that flip from face down to face up. Then Flip, which is cards that flip from face up to face down. And if you're trying to keep flip and unflip sort of straight in your head, Unflip has the letter U in it, which is face up. So you would flip to face up. And then lastly, draw. So there's an action on cards that says draw, and that would be the last thing that you do. So hunt, unflip, flip, draw. And so if multiple effects go off at the same time, that's the order you resolve them in. It's unlikely that you'll have two cards targeting the exact same thing in the exact same way. So normally you can resolve them all simultaneously and there won't be any issues. So once you have that card face up in front of you, you're going to just repeat that. Choose a card from your hand, put it face down in front of you. Everybody else is going to do the same thing. 3, 2, 1, go. You flip the card over and do whatever effects are on it. If there are no effects that are on it, like this one, which we went over earlier, that just has sort of an end of game score tally that just goes face up in front of you. You don't have to do anything to it. Do the same thing with your last card. 3, 2, 1, go. You flip it over. You do whatever it says. This one says all, meaning all players, flip 1 fairy card. So this one would already be face down for me because it flipped when it flipped. So this card actually wouldn't affect me because I don't have any other fairy cards to flip face down. It would, however, most likely hit a couple of other players, or at least one other player. So now you've played all of the cards in your hand, you're going to go ahead and jump into the next drafting phase. Everybody is going to be dealt 5 cards. And you're going to do the exact same thing, except you're passing in the opposite direction this turn. So you're going to look over the cards that you have in your hand, you're going to choose one, you're going to put it face down in front of you, you're going to pass the remaining 4, you're going to get 4 from the side of you, you're going to pull those up, you're going to choose one, put it face down in front of you, and you repeat this until you're holding 2 cards, same as everyone else, and then those get secretly discarded, and you move into the next play phase. You're holding 3 cards, you play one secretively, everybody plays one secretively, you simultaneously flip, resolve any effects, and you go through that until you've done this entire process 4 times. Draft, play, 4 times, and then at the end of the game, you tally, keeping in mind that you don't count face down cards. And there are some cards that actually won't score the way that you might have hoped they would. So here's actually a good combo example here. And there are some symbols that you sort of memorize as you play the game, but like I said, they're very straightforward. This card here, which is called Bronze Dragon, is worth 3 points for each of the card listed at the bottom. That card listed at the bottom is the Knight of the Round Table, and both the dragon and the knight have a total of 4 duplicates in the deck. So if you're really lucky, you can actually pull off 4 pairs. I happen to have a Knight of the Round Table in my hand, and you can see the image for the Knight of the Round Table also shows that it is quote-unquote friends, that's the handshake symbol, with that dragon. So these cards very obviously sort of call each other out as wanting to be paired with each other, just based off the bottoms of the cards. So the knight itself would only be worth 3, but then the dragon is worth 3 for each knight that you have. So if you get a bunch of pairs together, it's like a combo. Excuse me, box. And looking through some of the rest of these, again, there's all different types of mechanics. So this is Dragon's Tale Chapter 4. It's worth 9 points, which I think might be the highest. There might be a 10-point card, but I think 9 might be the highest. But only if, at the end of the game, you have the Golden Dragon or the Gold Dragon in play in front of you. And it says right on the bottom of the card, there is only 1 Gold Dragon. If you look at the Gold Dragon picture, there is a 1 in the picture, just like there would be on the actual Gold Dragon card in the upper left corner. There's also 1 of this card. So you've got basically a 1 in 50 chance, 1 in 60 chance of getting it, something like that. 1 in 55, I guess, is the math. You've also got this card here. This card, which is called the Trickster, I think there's only 2 of in the entire deck. Yes, 2. It's worth -1, but it's also got this special rule, Almighty, that only exists on the 2 Trickster cards. Almighty says at the end of the game when you're tallying cards, this card can take the name of any other card. So it's still worth -1 point, but it can help you trigger things like this, the one I just read, where you have to have the Gold Dragon at the end of the game. So this is worth nothing unless you have the Gold Dragon. So why not play an Almighty card and say, oh, I named this the Gold Dragon. Okay, well now I get my 9 points. This is worth -1, so it's kind of paring down to 8 points, but it's still better than nothing and -1. So you can fill in the gaps on very rare cards like the Gold Dragon, which there's only 1 of in the entire deck, and that will let you actually get the points for it. Then you've got this one here, which is a fun one. This is the Egg of Chaos. There are 3 of these in the entire deck. And if you look at the top there, it counts as all 3 card types and all 3 factions, which is a bit risky because that means if somebody says flip a fairy card face down or flip a dragon card face down, this has to count as all types, which means if you don't have any other reds and they say flip a red face down, you have to flip this one face down because it counts as a red and a green and a yellow and a black and all 3 card types. So it's very hard to sort of keep alive and keep face up for the end of the game. However, this card counts as all 3 of these, Children of Dragon and a Mischievous Fairy and a Homesteader, which are worth, I believe all of those cards are self-multiplying. So like Homesteaders are equal to the number of Homesteaders you have, and Children of Dragons are equal to the number of Children of Dragons you have. So this counts as 1 more for each of those. And those cards already have 7 duplicates apiece. There's 3 eggs, but 7 of each of the cards that this card counts as. And it's worth 2 points on its own. You can see how the combos kind of begin to branch out and go crazy here, and that's what's fun about the game. There's like a million different ways to score points no matter what you draft. And there's even more, unique options throughout the deck. But that's pretty much the entire game. It's very straightforward, like I said. You're going to take this deck, you're going to shuffle it up, everybody gets 5 cards, you draft until you've all got 3, and you dump the remaining 2. Then you play the 3 that you have, one at a time, flipping simultaneously and resolving any triggers that come with them when you flip them. And then once you're done those 3, you go through another draft phase. You repeat that entire process a total of 4 times, and then you count up your score, and that's the whole game. So it really does take half an hour once you and the people playing with it have gotten like a single game under your belt, because you're going to understand 95% of the rules after one go through. And it's a lot of fun. It's just really great trying to figure out how to come up with combos, and then that falls apart because you realize somebody else is going for it, so you switch gears and you go for something else, but then you're having trouble finding this one card. Oh no, there's only 4 of them in the deck, and I've got 2, but nobody else has played one, but I haven't come across the other 2. Is it in the discard pile? I really hope not. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game. I really enjoy it. I picked it up a while back and on a whim, because I honestly, looking at the box, I thought it was going to be something entirely different. And even though it was entirely different than what I thought it was going to be, I absolutely love it. I should play it more. I often forget that I have it because it's so little. It's just this tiny box, and it's sitting on my shelf back there, and it's between all these other huge $150 game boxes, and this little $20 card game is just a blast. And you can fit in 3 or 4 games of it in a night, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, you can even, people that have never played it before can just jump in and be as good as everybody else within the first game or 2. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, Fairy Tale. I would definitely recommend you pick it up and give it a shot. It's by Z-Man Games. It's absolutely fantastic. Other than that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, go down below and subscribe. Make sure you set your notification bell to all. Leave a like or a dislike, and maybe leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you if you do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.